Appreciate you guys being here with us as we prepare for the storm.
Yes.
We're talking about, how it's going to impact here in Atlanta and potentially other cities, not just Florida.
Right, exactly. Florida, though, still in the bullseye this morning, and it's just going to be a messy week. Mother Nature, she always wins, and here we go again. Hurricane Ian has gained strength again overnight. It did make landfall in Cuba, and now is a major Category 3 hurricane with sustained winds of more than 125 miles an hour. Yesterday, we came on the air and said, hey, it's a Cat 1, and 24 hours later, boom, Cat 3.
Worst case scenario.
So it did intensify rapidly, as they said it would. Most forecasts are still calling for that storm to slam into the western side of Florida.
Yeah, so more than 50,000 people in Cuba's Pinar del Rio province, west of Havana, evacuated ahead of the storm there. This is new video from the region. It is expected to bring massive flooding to Cuba, and the storm is expected to then make landfall in Florida as early as tomorrow, potentially, as Rob just said, as a Category 4. Millions of Floridians are bracing for the impact, particularly in the Tampa Bay area. This would be the worst storm to potentially hit that area in more than a century.
Scott Withers is live for us once again in downtown Tampa. You're going to ride out the storm in that area for the next few days, right there in the path of Ian. We know that certain evacuations are already underway. And Scott, I saw a headline this morning that talked about something near and dear to your heart, which was climate change, saying that that's the reason that this storm, as we just said, went from Cat 1 24 hours ago to here we are, Cat 3, potentially a Cat 4 in late September. Floor is yours, sir.
Yeah, the water out in the Gulf is just warm, and that's the problem because of climate change. We got so much heat in the atmosphere, the global climate temperature is increasing. That translates to the water, and that's why these storms, when they do appear, can quickly jump up. It's called rapid intensification. You can go up more than 35 miles per hour in just less than 24 hours, and that's what happened yesterday. We just got an update moments ago. Everything right now staying the same. Still Category 3, 125 miles per hour, hitting Cuba, as Lindsay said there, then it's going to move into the Gulf. Lots of different evacuations taking place here in Tampa. We've got that started yesterday. Clearwater, St. Pete, and now Manatee and Sarasota counties just to the south of the Tampa Bay area have issued mandatory evacuations in their Zone A's. That's probably going to continue as the storm continues to wobble. Also, the Tampa airport's closing down tonight at 5 p.m., shutting down all services and moving everybody out of the airport. This whole city, this region is really buckling down and getting ready to ride it out. Take a look what they're doing over at Tampa General Hospital. I was there earlier this morning. They've erected up a giant aqua wall all the way around this massive facility. They have got to protect that hospital. It is a Tier 1 hospital. It is going to be extremely important during and immediately after the hurricane. That's where all the injured people will go if they need to. So they've got to protect that, and they think that wall is going to keep them because we could see up to 10 feet of storm surge here in the Tampa Bay area, and that hospital sits right at the tip of an island in the Tampa Bay, so they need to protect it. Also, you can see on the satellite here, the satellite loop, there is Ian spinning in the Caribbean and now over Cuba, heading into the Gulf of Mexico. It is going to continue picking up speed because, as you said, those waters are warm. Because of climate change, we're just keeping the waters warmer longer, and it will hit Florida's west coast later this week. The sandbagging line stretched all day. Thousands of Tampa residents waiting for hours in the hot sun.
So water doesn't get into your house, and it also blocks it from getting in.
Mary Baum and her two sons, Grant and Davis, quickly filled their 10 bags.
We tend to flood for normal storms in this area, so we're pretty concerned about a Cat 3 or 4.
She's not the only one.
This is going to be a storm like we have not seen in the past, unless there's something that changes drastically.
The Tampa and St. Petersburg mayors both warned of unprecedented storm surge and flooding.
This could be the storm that we've hoped would never come to our shores.
But it is. Hurricane Ian is churning towards Cuba, gaining strength and rapidly intensifying. Its waves surging over the beaches and flooding neighborhoods. And that's the concern. Up to 10 feet of storm surge along the Florida Gulf Coast.
This portion of the coastline, the west coast of Florida, is incredibly vulnerable to storm surge. Very, very vulnerable to storm surge.
As Ian heads north, where it's heading is still up in the air. The seriousness of the situation settling in. Millions of Florida residents in the cone of uncertainty. They're stocking up on water and food from Tampa across to Orlando and even on the Atlantic coast. just in case. Mandatory evacuations are underway for a large part of the Tampa Bay area. 49 schools in the city are being converted to shelters to house up to 41,000 people. Florida Power and Light has already switched on its emergency response center to get the power back up and running after Ian knocks it out. For many in the sandbagging line, the worry is intensifying.
Back when Irma came through 5 years ago, that one was, I think, a big eye-opener, and this one kind of has a similar feel to it.
If Ian makes landfall in Tampa, it'll be the first hurricane in more than 100 years. You could already see some of the clouds starting to build here in the Tampa Bay. This is not the outer rain bands yet, but the winds are starting to pick up. The cloud base is starting to really solidify here. This is going to be a large storm. The eye is not going to be large, but the entire storm is going to be large. And that's going to cause problems across the entire state of Florida. Central Florida through Orlando and the theme parks all the way over to Daytona Beach and then up to Jacksonville. That's about a 3-hour drive from here. We could see a storm surge of up to 3 feet over in Jacksonville, because as this storm circles around, some of its outer bands are going to go out to the Atlantic, grab some water, and pull that into Jacksonville. So, Lindsay, Rob, this storm got some big issues. Take a look at the cone of uncertainty with me, and it's becoming more certain as time goes because we're running out of time. It's jogged a little bit to the south and the east, now Manatee County, but that still means that Tampa's going to get hit. We're looking at a timeline here of Wednesday into Thursday, and Lindsay, this storm's going to be here for a while. It's not a hit and move. It's going to be over this area for over 12 hours.
So, Scott, it sounds like the best case scenario and the worst case scenario are both bad scenarios. There's not one scenario where it's a miss.
Not with this storm. This storm is going to cause problems for a large section of Florida. We're talking, as I said, Orlando, Jacksonville, Gainesville. We could have tropical storm force winds in Gainesville on Friday, a day and a half after it makes impact here starts making impacts here in Tampa. So this is going to be a long slog for the entire state. There's going to be strong winds, even inside the state. You could be dealing with tropical storm winds for a day and a half after it makes impact. So everyone across most of Florida needs to button up, and then it's going to move up into Georgia as a tropical depression, so we're going to have some issues there. So everyone in the southeast needs to be prepared.
And Scott, let me clarify one thing. What is the strength of the storm, or anticipated strength of the storm, once it actually hits? Because some people say, oh, it's only a 1 or a 2 or a tropical system when it hits, and that really is a misnomer of sorts. It can be very dangerous regardless of what number it actually hits as.
Yeah, so that's because it's so large, it's going to be offshore as a major storm. So that's a 3 or a 4. Then because this thing is so big and it's spinning, the outer bands of it come into contact with the buildings and the land, and that starts slowing it down. So when it makes landfall, it might only be a 2, but it's already done damage for 10 or 12 hours on the landfall, and then that storm surge is coming through. The storm surge, it doesn't matter about the wind. Once it starts pushing, it doesn't matter if it's a 2 or a 4. That envelope of water is going to move, and it is going to come on land.
All right, Scott Withers reporting live from Tampa. Again, we will continue to check in with you as this storm approaches. Thank you.